How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. You know, Storm's a little bit later, so I have reason to wake up earlier. You know what I mean?
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I've taken a look at the time and have gone, meeting's in an hour and a half. I'll just wait.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I mean, if Storm was in 40 minutes, what's the point of...
I'm not using the elevator. I'm just on the phone trying to have a personal spot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, Brian. I was in the elevator in there.
You're good.
Anyways.
We had a bit of a situation yesterday. I spoke to Key. However, It turns out he recommended I speak to someone in shift 1. I saw you on duty, so I want to see how you want me to handle this.
Okay, hit me with the context.
Okay, so this is gonna sound petty and kind of pathetic, so be prepared.
Totally prepared.
Deputy Mayor Penny, I believe is her name. Penny? Oh yeah, she has like 2 names. She's got like her legal name and then her nickname. So
is it short for like Penelope or something?
No. It's Penny, isn't it? You know, the orange hair, pigtails, used to be in Chaos Legion.
Not exactly ringing a bell.
Los Santos County, the financial person.
Possibly, Brian. I'm bad with names.
You're
Go
good. So, Deputy Mayor was kidnapped yesterday. 911 comes in. So marshals respond. It turns out she was utilized for a Peggy. Her name's Peggy, not Penny. I knew I was
Peggy,
off by a bit.
Yes. Okay.
So
the math is math. Marshals
respond. I believe it was myself, Vale, and McNulty.
Got it.
Minute or 2 later, it turns out that she was a hostage for a cash exchange. And so it's like, I bet. So regardless, we're on scene. What is the intention, etc., etc. Oh wait, what the fuck?
What? Oh, you're being static.
Yeah. So whatever, right? So cash exchange, units are on scene, trying to evaluate the situation. Seems rather run of the mill. And okay, so how are we going to handle this? As far as I'm concerned, we're there to assist with the situation, right? There's already V Gray's already scene lead, right? No issues. And I asked a question like, hey, so before a question can be asked, Eryn overrides V Gray. Rather obvious based on the comms, which I think we were kind of taken aback. She said, 5 units. They didn't know she was the deputy mayor, and we're now confused. And it's like, why does that matter? And
is this gonna go down the path of, do we treat them like way more hostile because they kidnapped a government employee?
Yes, correct.
I really don't like that mindset, if I'm being honest.
Well, we don't know the context, right? So
that is true. That is true. Were they just taken for the sole purpose of being
we don't
a cash exchange, though? I don't think they're taking a government employee for a cashier to push anything other than free passage.
Well, that's
what I would assume normally. But go on.
I kind of disagree on that. But we can dive into that a bit.
Yeah.
I think like I'll touch on it a little bit, and we can kind of crack that egg a little bit further down the line. Government employee, if a law enforcement officer is going to cause the 78s, and especially with the mandate that SASM has to protect, even if it's a government official and they're brought in for a cash exchange, their treatment should be pretty up there. Not at the level of the 78s, but certainly, like, you know, hitting off the the RIP aggression, getting an evaluation as to what the intention there is.
Yes,
and this is
that I agree with.
Yeah, and this is also in lieu of the fact that there are open and active threats against the state, especially involving financial institutes.
It could be on behalf of others.
Correct.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
So the statement, Eryn says, well, they didn't know she was the deputy mayor, which underlinedly is bullshit. Now,
wait, which group did this?
The Ballas, right? They most certainly would know that. It's just,
don't they get an egregious amount of money from like?
Yes.
Okay.
And Peggy, exactly. Thank you. Yes, they for their fucking fight night
thing.
Yes, which
right, not even just a fight thing. There was another guy who was also involved.
Purple
something
World
about sanitation.
Customs?
No, something sanitation related. I think their name was Darren something.
Third instance, right? So Purple World Customs, the fight night, and now what you just kind of noted. So off the rip, it's a little sus, the call, because it was immediate, right? Like there was no evaluation, it was rather immediate. But regardless, if let's say even if they had been telling the truth, it's still not just, should not be just a regular cash exchange. They're like, what's the unit count going to be? What's the this and that? But it was completely thrown off the table. So, the question was asked, okay, so, so what's the plan here? And there was kind of, and then let's just call it the Eryn mood, which I'm not sure if you witnessed it before. And it was clear there was some like hostility in the air at that stage.
Hostility in what sense? Like from Eryn, like did she sound pissed, or was it she just wanted to be aggressive?
Yeah.
Okay.
She sounded rather triggered. Now, mind you, regardless of the decision that was made and the disagreement involving around it, there was no debate over the radio. There was only a question for clarification. And that having been said, the you good, brother? Yeah, you gotta watch out, man. You nearly killed me.
I'm sorry. Let me take care of your car real quick.
All right, I appreciate it. It's a fucking 300-pound
where are you?
truck. Route 68.
68. So Viv is around.
Yeah.
Would you be able to come to Mission Row?
Yeah. I'll come through.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Because then we'll discuss it collectively.
All right, easy. I'll be right over.
See you soon.
See you in a bit. You stay safe. All right, just be careful with that thing. You can kill someone.
Yeah, I got you.
Eryn mood. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, you know what it is when you hear it, right? Yeah, that sounds like a deeper conversation to have about kidnapped government employees. Because innately, a government employee is a government employee. And we have historically treated kidnappings of judges and mayoral cabinets and stuff with a higher level. So speak of the devil. Off-duty cop. Yeah, I mean,
Morning, Brian.
good morning.
How are you doing today?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, fantastic.
I got called. Gramps trying to dress like he's an unk just now.
Yeah, you look like you're taking your kids to softball.
Nobody asked for your opinion. No, not a soul. Not a Director, how goes it?
What's with the 52 on your clothes? What are you in high school?
It's 52. It's
Get that from
symbolic
Abercrombie
symbol.
and Fitch. They like to put, you know.
No, it's
Like,
Buddhist. It's a number of rejuvenation. The
Oh.
cycle of continuance. Yeah.
Oh, it's not Abercrombie. It's the other one. What's the Hollister? Right?
I know what you're thinking.
It's like the.
Balenciaga. You'd be right. It is Balenciaga.
It is Balenciaga. They put numbers on their clothes now.
Yeah, for me
Oh,
they did.
shit. Varsity
Yeah.
line, I guess. American Eagle.
Yeet yeet.
All right. Yeah. Oh man.
Come on in. Come on in.
How you doing?
Doing all right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm just waking up, so please do bear with me.
No, you're good. Guys, I don't know about y'all, but the weather's been beautiful out.
Sarcastically?
Yeah.
No, no. It's just been nice out.
Oh.
Definitely here in the great old state of San Andreas.
Oh.
Not my hometown where there was 3 feet of snow in 24 hours and it's almost entirely gone in 50 degrees. Crazy. I wish I was there when it was 50 and not. Anywho, hit us with it, Brian.
Okay, so let me actually give y'all the report number real quick. It is going to be report number 24041.
Is that an incident or a report?
It's going to be an incident.
Okay.
24041.
Got it.
All right.
Wait. Oh, this was a different person. Wrong killer. I thought it was the other one.
Yeah. So, breakdown is 911 call noting that the deputy mayor has been kidnapped. Marshals respond. We have units on channel 1 additionally responding. In a span of a minute to 2 minutes, it gets noted that she's just a hostage on a cash exchange. To which myself, Vale, both in a vehicle, and McNulty arrive on scene. This is going to be the, I think like Elgin. It's the one off Innocence, off the corner there by the VU.
Like, yeah. Got it.
So units are on scene, and V's the scene lead. I bet, no issues with that. We have interest, SASM does, or given that it's a government official. But, you know, V running the scene, there's no issue with that at all. I just want to start by noting that. And so V kind of starts up the call, and Eryn sort of interjects and notes, only 5 units. They didn't know she was the deputy mayor. Now, it was a bit alarming to not just myself, but others, having collectively, we all questioned it. And Rosner was right across from us. Even he was surprised, because it was more of the tonality, right? This is the deputy mayor. How is that evaluation happening within seconds, right? And what is the intent behind this? Right. Let alone the question of, like, what are we going to do here, right? This is not just a cash exchange. She was kidnapped, possibly from City Hall. And given that it's the Ballas, they know damn well who that was.
Just to clarify, in this situation, like, are we, what's the best term to use here? Is this like in the midst of everything, or have they negotiated by this point?
Oh no, it's in the midst of everything.
Okay, so we haven't been able to speak to Peggy aside from everyone to get the true story.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. This is an immediate, like, if I were to, I'm going to be a bit presumptuous here. The timing would have been, hey, did you know she was a hostage? No? Okay, bet. Let me make it a call on radio, right? So this was not only overriding V-grade, the scene lead, but it was an immediate, this is just a cash exchange. And like I said, that resonation of confusion was not just those in the cabin. Rosner as well, who made a comment across the way, he was equally confused. With that having been said, we asked, okay, well, that's the deputy mayor. I asked a question like, that's the deputy mayor. What's the plan here, right? Open to whatever the suggestion is. And it was restated. V was trying to open up that conversation, and he was immediately once again overridden by Eryn. No, it's just a cash exchange. We're going to treat it like this. All the other units break off, right? And something along
other
those
units
lines.
Being
and
outside of like unit cap related
outside
stuff?
of 5 units. And at this stage, I'm strongly disagreeing with it, but it is what it is, right? 5 units, bet, whatever, right? We're not going to have an argument in the moment. So then V does come in and say, look, we're going to up the aggression once they leave, given it's a deputy mayor, good call. Chase goes on. Myself and Bill stay back, and we go ask V, like, hey man, everything, like, what happened? Like, it was very confusing. The temperature over the radio was odd. And V says, I don't know, man, just another sergeant coming and overriding another sergeant on a scene. Like, he was clearly frustrated. And then Peggy comes out and she says, I told them I was the deputy mayor, and they said, so what? And they took me anyways. So now we know with certainty none of that was true.
Yeah.
And so then, call proceeds. Additionals are called as there is a swap and parachutes being utilized. And some of them are arrested, some of them aren't. 30 after we had VCB'd like some of the suspects, I had run into Andre, and I just asked him point blank, this is like 20 minutes later, why'd you kidnap the deputy mayor? And he's like, why not? And it's like, ain't nobody gonna stop me. Something along those lines. Once again, paraphrase, right? And yeah, I made a cool,
ain't nobody
like,
gonna
100.
Stop me. Crazy when accounting for the fact that she's signing off on the money y'all get for the shit you do.
I'm paraphrasing here. It was like that sort of vibe of a response, right? And he said, well, and I got a nice, like, cool, like $100,000 or $110,000 or something. So, whatever, right? Like, very openly, myself and Vale think the whole situation was rather ridiculous. And she's writing up the report, and she notes, wait, someone is writing in the report, turns out to be this guy named Joseph Wilson, that myself and Vale attached ourselves to the call and were not following pursuit etiquette. Now, that was odd. Now, note, he's sitting in the vehicle with Eryn, which I don't know where this hostility is coming from, given that there was no verbal back and forth between myself and her, let alone that statement. Now, here's where it gets strange. Myself and Vale were not in the pursuit.
I'll stayed back.
At all. In fact, you'll note that he's got a news statement there. And mind you, when we had seen this, I immediately called Key about it because it was concerning. Specifically where this manufactured statement was being derived from. We, in 4K, and can be noted by the history, Key saw it, Vale saw it, I saw it, as Vale put her clarifying statements in, most underlinedly that we were not on the pursuit. In fact, our only involvement came from dealing with the parachutes, specifically because, you know, they were climbing up like Maze Bank and the casino and like parachuting off. Keeping an eye on them with a Havoc, you know, the one-seater. And secondly, recovering one of the ballas who had jumped, failed to deploy their parachute, and landed on like a little outlet on one of the buildings. So Rosner grabbed him and like loaded him up into a chopper and then got in, and then we kind of brought him down. So as that statement came in, then his statement was rewritten separately. Eryn
Wilson, just to clarify.
Correct.
Wilson's statement? Okay.
Correct. And we also witnessed, as you know, Vale was still in the process of writing out these clarities to clear some of the things in the report. Her lines being highlighted by Eryn, followed by a rather manufactured statement by her that came afterwards, most namely, the notion that a breach was being requested. Not once was a breach noted. Not once did anyone say there was going to be a breach. I don't think anyone had the intention of breaching, given that would directly put, the deputy mayor in line of sight. So, TLDR here, this is strange to say the least. And
all of this very specifically stemmed over the deputy mayor and essentially how we're treating government employees in these situations.
You could say a mix of that and effectively V Gray
it's
being
definitely the cause, right? Because otherwise this would just be a very normal run-of-the-mill cash exchange. Because like if I look at this and I want to attack the root cause, I'm thinking confusion as to how we're dealing with this. I'm going to be honest, like though I said what I mentioned to you on the phone, I think we might still be on the same page. If there is an officer on duty who is kidnapped, that is a 78. The moment they get into that vehicle, they're being shot, right? If there's an off-duty officer or a government employee in any capacity, that is not going to be a 78 call. However, will there be aggression off rip? You know, spikes, PBS, stuff like that? Yes, but we're not opening fire the same way we would if an on-duty officer were kidnapped.
Precisely that.
I would deal with it.
Yeah,
I think people
I'm on the same page.
There's a mayor or deputy mayor or whoever kidnapped. We're going to treat it as a 78 because it shouldn't be that way, but there should be more aggression.
If there's, if the standard is 5, right? I would expect, you've got 3 units on standby because now the need for apprehension has escalated. The need for a fallback in the event there is further intentions with the deputy mayor, we need people on standby.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it may be like, you know, as soon as the hostage is secured, and I don't mean they just left the bank, I mean quite literally statement taken and brought somewhere, right? Away from their initial position so they don't come back and shoot. That you've got the standby units in case it's an immediate swap. Depending on the vibe of what's going on inside, the hostility levels, maybe or maybe not Air One, all situational dependent.
If the hostage, again, in this case, if Peggy was like, no, this was all because they told me this was because I didn't give them money, the whole vibe changes, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
Yes, we are, because you are then looking at something potentially way worse than a normal run-of-the-mill situation. Yeah, I agree with that.
That having been said, there's, and I think we're on the same page on this. At the end of the day, V. Gray was going to make those calls, whether or not even we disagreed with it. Like, I don't mean on the radio, I mean personally, right? At the end of the day, that's his call.
Right.
But he was overridden multiple times, clearly annoyed and upset. I don't know how that conversation went between V and Key. That might be worth noting or asking about.
Will do.
But it got worse.
Oh.
Outside of these, I completely forgot a bit, is that this chase ensued. Interference cars came into play. And this is because I'm over the radio. And a swap was had and the parachutes. Guess how many units were left on the call? 5.
How many?
Because every LSPD unit broke off when Eryn 311, except for one, and that one was V. It was 3 BCSO, V Gray, and 2 Marshal vehicles. And I don't remember the exact 311, but it was odd. I don't know. Maybe it was whatever
there's
back and forth happened.
In evidence somewhere.
Yes.
Or someone mentioned in their report that a 311 was, unless I misread.
I see it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Eryn Carter. There's a 311 440 breaking off channel 3, too many units.
Yeah.
And then was it Vale that wrote that? Someone wrote it.
Eryn may have. Possibly, I'm not sure.
Someone wrote it in the report because it's the only reason I knew that it existed.
Yes, Eryn. Purple minivan therefore broke off to other priority calls, which were occurring and sent to 311 to inform officers on the channel. So, she sort of came in, effectively overrid V, had a very hostile tone, and just for clarity's sake, my department's filled with British people, so this was not one of those British things. No offense there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You guys kind of guys are gonna get a lot of flack over British people because they're. I'm gonna say this as respectfully as possible. It is not an uncommon theme for people to take what they say as hostile, even though they're just being blunt.
Yeah, no, exactly that.
I'm not pissed off. I'm just British.
Yeah, no. Trust me, been there, done that.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
So, anyways, I want to bring it to your attention. I don't take any umbrage to any of it. What happened. My main concern is what happened with V. Secondly, sort of the manufactured statements and some of the falsifications, specifically over, hey, a breach was being called, which isn't the case. Maybe I'm going to be a little cheeky here. Maybe in the decision tree that Eryn may have in her mind is normal cash exchange, or they mean breach. But the reality of the matter is there are other options, right?
I was going to say it's neither in this case, but again, sort of begs the question of, I'm not kidding. When I was working at the kebab shop and the taco place, anytime they would see me working there, they would specifically go, there's no way we're taking Rhodes because they're going to breach. right?
Well, I've had people do that deliberately to see if it does get done.
But that's the point I'm trying to make. Not that the criminal should understand the expectation, but the PD should be on the same page, and there shouldn't exist that confusion within PD. So there does need to be clarification, because if we're being honest here, it kind of just stems back from ages ago where sometimes that call would be made, even though realistically it shouldn't. If we're dealing with someone who is on duty in the capacity of their job as a law enforcement officer, they're kidnapped, 78's call, the possibility exists that they could be breached, but we might instead opt to wait for them to get in the car and just start blasting. That sounds unprofessional, but again, resorting back to, if they are off duty because the possibility exists that they were targeted for being a police officer or information or whatever it is, there's going to be a by default increased level of aggression, regardless of whether or not it was for the purpose of targeting police off duty. Just inherently, there's going to be an increased response because the possibility exists. Even though realistically, because let's not forget this, realistically, us being aggressive at the start is legally perfectly fine in every capacity when we're dealing with hostages, right? Like it is nothing more than a courtesy, if you will, so that people aren't at 100 right from the very start in every situation. Because if we don't give them any opportunity, that's essentially what's going to happen. Is they're never going to be at 50%. They're going to be at 100% if we are putting spikes down immediately. They're going to start shooting hot. You know what I mean? If there's 100%. No difference in that, then again, their behavior is going to change for the worse, which is why most people are on the same page regarding this, but it should be clarified.
Oh, Vale's on duty.
So yeah, I'll ensure that is clarified on the PD's end.
Okay.
Not obviously discussed and whatnot during the meeting to hopefully make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, I think evaluations for me is like the key bit, right? Things don't need to be an evaluation.
All parties,
right?
Just to figure out why certain decisions were made, or for example, why in this case Gray was sort of overruled by someone of same rank.
Yeah,
who was not primary.
Yeah,
because we're trying to instill this, like, if you're first on scene, you are primary. Asterisk, and the only time people should stray from that is if someone's rights are about to be fucking violated.
100%. What I meant by evaluation though is that us as law enforcement, we come into a atypical scene, right? In this case, a deputy mayor. Tomorrow, I don't know, some scientists are coming in with some contagion, right?
Yep.
This situation has to be evaluated for what it is, not what it can be reduced down to. I agree. And just based on that becomes the level of aggression, right? There's layers to it. There's levels to it. Did they know 100%. What's their hostility level inside? Have they threatened to shoot her, right? Is it coming to the point of like, hey, they may do it anyways? Right. And if we're not prepared for the contingency, we're sort of like reducing down these very important positions into just another civilian with a fancy title. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So
the circumstances definitely matter.
Yeah.
Like in a hypothetical, if this person were to have been hired into let's say Peggy had no prior involvement in the mayor's office, and the day before was hired and no one knows, it wasn't formally announced, at that point you can make your best guess in that it's likely not affiliated, but how do we actually know unless we speak to them?
Agreed. Yeah.
I'm a gazillion% on board with trying to resolve this and make sure it doesn't happen again.
I got another thing for y'all, if we're good on this. They'll shared a report with y'all. Now, you may recall we spoke a couple weeks ago about a number of projects, right? Including but not limited to the scene lead stuffs. I have Punish.
Vale did not
Vale?
share it, by the way. She specifically told me she couldn't share it, but
Yeah.
was going to make sure we could see it.
Let me see if I can get that sorted. Here we go.
But right after the meeting yesterday, she had mentioned it.
What's y'all's state ID?
1303.
And yours, Vip?
1764.
Okay. So I don't want to get too much into the nitty gritty of this. I had a conversation with her, through, we went to an island somewhere to go get into some of the nitty gritty of expectations. So, we didn't have that odd conversation here. But kind of to bring us back, like 3 weeks ago, we had discussed scene lead stuff, all the high level stuff, I and Frost.
Right. Yeah.
From that has been a lot of conversation, right, on how to outline these things. And but to bring out, let's bring out our visual hats here, right? Imagine you've got the scene lead, right? And I've kind of broken down, and as we spoke through this, we've sort of defined out what a scene leadership is, right? What is the responsibility? But also, I have asked her to start expanding out what it means to be a primary unit. Sort of recalling back to our conversation, the idea that a scene begins, whether it's a Polito bank or whether it's a atypical situation. A scene lead, first on scene or scene lead, right? It could be one, it could be both, or it could be reassigned, whatever. There's a scene lead, then there's the primary units, the first ones attaching to that call, the intention of them maintaining on that call, and then what is a assisting or backup unit. And a lot of this document is going to be focused on a lot of the things that we may take for granted or think is common sense, but sort of writing them out so that it is clearly defined. Now, this is a draft of it, and I wanted to share it with y'all, and I'm going to share it with Jenna as well, to give you some time to kind of provide some feedback. If there's any disagreements, that's fine, right? But I would suggest we have another one of those meetings to go into some of the nitty-gritties, and then this will then turn into something a little bit more formal, a little bit easier to read.
I agree. I have a big issue.
Okay. Hit me.
Massive issue with this. I hate the use of a semicolon here.
Oh, this is a draft, right? So this is just notes. Separate from this, and this is going to sound egregious, we had a situation on Friday. Oh, well, actually, I don't want to table this. Yes. If you guys have any questions about this, please feel free to, provide that feedback. And,
I'm sort of skimming through it. I'll read it more in depth, at a later time, especially since it's just a draft, and obviously Jen and stuff is still going to have to go over it.
Yep.
I'd actually recommend that we wait until whoever is finally sheriff.
I agree.
To ensure that, I feel like this is something prime opportunity to sort of rope them into these discussions.
Yeah.
So obviously there will be some time. So I'm not just going to read it all right now and then forget about it until the conversation we have and then have to read it again.
I don't disagree with that. I think whatever gets produced, right, is going to be like a working copy.
Yep.
But not with the intention of, because at the end of the day, I would like all of us to agree to whatever it kind of finalizes on. I think for interoperability, it's very important. And none of this is stake in the ground. And if there's any debate points, we can have those, right? And whatever the conclusion is a conclusion. Separate.
It was me, you, and Frost when we had the conversation originally,
yes.
Up on the couch, correct? The couches? Up at Mission
yes,
Round?
But then there was also a separate.
That's when this conversation was had? No, disregard.
And prior to that, overseas.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
My memory was shocked. I'm just sitting there thinking, this is a conversation Viv was present for? No.
No.
It was not. Viv, I will speak to you in regards to it.
Okay. I like this a lot. I've skimmed all the way through it. I think I do like this.
Yeah, I think that working copy will keep moving towards it, including what is going to be the format, so that it's not so difficult to read through. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people recently who have pointed out the issues with primaries and scene leads. And quite often somebody ends up assuming scene lead because there was none established in the first place, or even though they thought there was.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot in here that I've been working. This is the way that I kind of work anyway, including assigning people to negotiate for me on a scene that I'm running. Because I don't think you can properly have oversight of a situation if you're the one doing everything.
Absolutely agreed. Yeah. I think scene lead being a coordinator it just works out, because then no one is confused. But also explicitly stating you're a scene lead is important, because I've noticed over the last year the culture has become, well, whoever speaks must be the scene lead. But the issue with that is, with a complex scene, even something like a cash exchange or a Polito bank, where someone out of those X number of units, 5, 8, whatever, may have information that's vital to get out on radio. Like, hey, that person is actually a hostage still, right? Like, because of whatever they may know. Like, oh, they recognize it's Raya Kane and she's forced to wear purple, right? But them making that statement or kind of noting the importance of that information, a lot of people start to think they're the scene lead all of a sudden. And sometimes the scene lead will default all the responsibility to him, which is a problem. Once Rhodes is back, I'm going to give you all a very unfortunate situation from Friday, which leads to my next thing. So how's the shift been?
Yeah, I mean, I've only been on duty for a couple of hours, 3 or so hours. I've been sorting out evidence because there was problems with evidence populating into a shootout report that we had yesterday that warrants need to go out from. And then we realized that may affect the searching of hot guns and finding the incidents that it comes back to. So I've been trying to fix that. Yeah, so that's been fun. How about you? You just started your day?
Yeah, I'm normally around around now, like right around now. I'll start waking up maybe in like 20 minutes. But with the tsunami being at an hour from now, I decided to wake up early since I can actually get something done before tsunami. So, oh my God, productiveness chat. How productive is this? Huh? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the productivity level of this meeting? And yes, we're around early today. Look at that, chat. Look at that. Look at William. Look at that. William, look at that. Are you guys gambling? No. Saturn, how'd you come on duty for like 2 minutes yesterday and then leave? What the hell? We like saw you for like 30 minutes. Immortal, thank you for the turn.
Okay, we're good. We're sorry. I was listening to a voice.
Okay.
Listening to a voice.
So
apologies, I missed the call.
I'll try to TLDR this as best I can. Faceless activity has been kind of a bit muted recently.
Oh, okay.
So these sort of big situations outside of Nexus has been rather limited last, like, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, right? Now note that Nexus is affiliated with the Faceless Network, let's call it, right? So imagine the Faceless Network.
They're also affiliation with
Zenith. Yes.
Yes. And then man, all of it's roped in with each other in some capacity.
It is, yes.
Got it.
So the Faceless Network, I can best describe as at its fourth stage. And we can certainly deep dive that. In fact, I've got some classified files for y'all and the new sheriff. They were produced about 2 weeks ago. However, with changes of leadership or whatever, we just said, okay, let's just hold off and things settle so we can have like a big old low high command meeting. But there's a Faceless Network. Faceless has many projects. Chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, the weapon trade, et cetera, right? But one of the biggest threats that has existed for, I'd say, the past 2 months is their intersection with the archivist, in which they met on a boat. We found them due to a tip-off from Babylon, believe it or not, which led us to finding Mr. Blue. Taking aerial footage was just me and Hobbler, in which we saw the archivist, Mr. Blue, and Mr. Blue's faceless folks, both direct security guards wearing black masks and assets. ROs of which we were able to identify from fake plates, and separately because some of our insiders in Babylon actually spoke to them before they got on the boat to get to the tugboat where this meeting took place. From that stemmed the archivist giving me a call hours later, in which he said that even though the Faceless and the archivists have differing ways of going about things, there is a project that they share common interest in, and that the archivist, once his work is completed, they'll be able to move forward on whatever that plan is. The suspicion is that they wish to drain the bank accounts, city's bank accounts. This is why you will likely see a lot of activity, both from the mayor's offices as well as people trying to possibly salvage gold. Now, we believe that Mr. JJ likely leaked this information, as the day we mentioned this to the mayor, it was
which JJ?
Menez? Yes.
Okay.
Suspicion.
Did he officially
can't prove it.
resign, by the way?
That's what I heard. He doesn't have a profile anymore.
So he called me for context and told me that he was going to be resigning from his position either that day or the day after. And I believe the following day was arrested as part of a bank robbery. And then I think it was Ventura called me, and Brandy texted me saying, we got JJ. Like, what do we do? And I pretty much told him, you're going to have to speak to Denzel to see if he even holds the position, because if he doesn't, there's no, it's pointless.
True.
Like, there isn't a position and he's not going to be eligible for it. But if he is hired, you pretty much have the equivalent of a summary judgment for that impeachment based on the Pred stuff.
I would argue that it may be worthwhile one of your detectives actually filing a subpoena for the last 30 days. And now it may not, I mean, it depends what the DOJ thinks, but if were a government employee and had access to government files and other things, and have now decided to resign and immediately, commit a felony, it sort of draws into question, what the fuck were you doing the last 30 days? You don't just wake up one morning and say, you know what, fuck this shit, I'm going to be a criminal, right?
It's true. Though I think most things he was involved, wasn't he didn't he control the money for the most part? Not control the money, but didn't he have say? I mean, I think we just look into the finances of the 30 days prior, just to make sure there's nothing fishy.
Yeah.
And if there is, obviously we'll look into it further.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll get someone on that.
So, I went a little deep here on the whole shebang, but I'll note that JJ has been tracked for months now, being involved with the Faceless, including recent phone calls with Charlie. He has some of the most phone calls with him, believe it or not. And the only reason we didn't capture him 3 months back is, remember the observatory bombing from back in December.
Yes.
And even situation prior to that, where he was identified outside of a Ligara Faceless Darkstone standoff, which ultimately amounted to this whole situation. He was the 10th most interesting individual to target out of 10, right? So he's so low on our list, we never got to it, right? Just the bandwidth is too extreme. But that connection has survived. Now, so what does this have to do with Friday? The past about a week and a half ago, the Pacific Standard Bank was open for about a span of an hour, where low interest loans were being granted. I believe it was like something like 1.5 APR. Many individuals went to obtain a loan. We have some of the names of said people. This unfortunately was happening during a 78's call. Kingsman went in as a marshal. We sent in undercover units to see what else they could find.
When you say he went in as a marshal, was he fully like identifiable,
yes.
or was he okay? Got it.
Yeah. And the secondary reason, it wasn't just because the bank was operating, but rather there was tampering of electronic devices from inside. So then I arrive on scene, right? Because I forgot I was handling some other shit. So I arrived there and we sort of asked to look around, which we did. They were very touchy with us going down to the vault, but we insisted, as they don't own the property. They may be the custodians at some level, even though that draws into a bunch of legal questions. But if there's an alarm here, we got to check on it, right? Like, we don't know if you're hostage, right?
We don't know if this is you robbing the bank and playing the role of like.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And just to kind of also preamble on all this is we dealt with a situation with like the Vatican and like people from the Vatican City, and are they citizens or whatever. All that, the tilder from the state was, yeah, ID their ass, right? And you can confirm those things in one way or another post facto, if not in the moment.
Right, this is sounding no different than when people would rob houses years ago dressed as bug stars. The official documentation or no go.
So as we search in an individual named David Roberts' office, because those top secure, you know, the offices on the top floor, they're actually locked. That door was open. So that added to some credence, right?
We're talking about the Vinewood Vault?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we go in there and we find a bag of cocaine in David Roberts' room. He's the branch manager or whatever.
Okay, I don't want to be that guy, but, you know, pork found in the fucking kitchen.
Yeah. And there was coke riddled on a photocopier. We made note of all this. We made note of all the employees there. But David Roberts wasn't present that day. On Friday, we caught a faceless meeting. Now, this is the day that Dark actually came to us and said, hey, I got a call from Charlie. And they stated that Charlie stated to Dark that the PD is going to find another body similar to one found before. So Sasson was on high alert. Checked common areas where they've murked people. Didn't find anything. And lo and behold, McNulty noticed some activity at the Echelon building. The one in the little Charlie Faceless house up in Vinewood. We monitored. We found Brandon Valentino, Chico Guzman, and what's his name? He's like a prime racer. His name starts with an M. Escaping me right now. Their vehicles, as well as a white and color Progress. So we monitored. We documented the vehicles, documented the license plates. Notice they all dipped in the same direction. So we're thinking these guys are about to assassinate someone. So we went looking for where they are, where are they meeting up next. Once again, intent to monitor. Upon searching, myself and Frost went to Zancudo and found members of Ligara. Ligara is a foreign cartel who has previously brought M70s into the city. A target of the Faceless, because Ligara will bring M70s to the city into San Andreas, will put them in crates with the intention of their handlers grabbing the M70s and selling it to, like, I don't know, like Mexico and other parts of the United States, like using us as like sort of an intermediate bridge. And the Faceless will come in and yoink their shit, right? So if you see an M70 on the street, it originated from Lagara. And we've known this for about 6 months now. We haven't been able to stop a transport other than like one time. Now, these guys, and they're all dressed in white. They wear white cowboy hats. We've interrogated them before. Why the fuck are they at Fort Zancudo, right? So we go over there and like, hey, what's going on? Like, and out of all these guys is a guy dressed up all preppy. And we're like, what's going on here? And I'm gonna be real. I thought I didn't know what was happening. Turns out that guy was David Roberts. We separated the Lagara guys from David Roberts. Me and Frost spoke to them, and then we switched, and, you know, the other spoke to the other. David Roberts had hired them for security because his life was under danger. They get into a convoy. We let them go. They get into 2 white trucks and a black sedan. They start driving. They go to the city vault. Then they go up to Polito, and boom, boom, same cars that we were monitoring over at the Faceless house come in and fucking murk the Lagara guys and kidnap David Roberts. Now, here's the shitty thing is we had units come in early, and I even told the guys in Sassam, I was like, we're monitoring right now, but we should have some backup units, just like 1 or 2. So there's like 6, 7 of us. In case shit goes down, we can at least react and assess based on what occurs, how many units to bring in, because we're not going to go plaster them with 40 cops, right? Nor do we want to unintentionally escalate the situation if nothing occurs, right? That situation, shooting happens, backup units were there. We had a photo of David Roberts already in a report, but we're able to look at it. They arrive on scene, and it turns into what I will best describe as just another bank truck. Because David Roberts was falsely identified as a suspect. Well, what I mean by that is a suspect was believed to be David Roberts. So the wrong car was chased. That shit's going to happen. Oh. But the not David Roberts and what turned out to be DJ Cooper ended up crashing out at the Maze Bank Arena. And when we said we have to prioritize the VIP, fuck everything else, and we can capture 95 is fine, we gotta save this guy, right? Yeah. Make sure he's safe. No one went. They just kept overriding the comms and be like, left, Dorset Avenue. You sure we want to break off this? Yes, we need to secure that VIP.
If that Nobody dude ends up dead, we have very little context as to what value he even had.
Yes. And if he's dead, then what the fuck's the point of this call?
Even though it sounds like the whole thing here is it was the wrong target, but if we believed they were the target, right? If it wasn't DJ and it was, this line snorter, that's the important bit. Why the fuck do they want you?
Yes. What happens is no one goes, but Brian Parker goes, I know what we can do. Let's bring him down to LSIA. And I'm like, no, what? Like, next thing I know, Brian Parker has brought this guy from Maze Bank Scrapyard all the way to the back hangar in fucking Narnia. And it's him and one other unit. And
what's the purpose of LSIA here?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Because it was safe to bring him to the hangar. As opposed to, because I said he's got to be, brought to, put him somewhere safe, like under a roof or something. So instead of going under, Maze Bank, with a rooftop so they don't get bombed, or into a corner, they drove him all the way to LSIA hangar, the back one, where the refueling, into the corner over there. So, quite literally 2 miles away. And there's only 2 cops. No one's broken off. I get over there. I'm like, this ain't even a suspect. Did you GSR him? Oh, no, we didn't think of doing that. Did you ID him? Oh, no. Well, that's not him. Oh, well, maybe he's just a double. And I'm just like, brother, like, and one of these guys was on the call from the very beginning, had access to the photo before the shooting had even begun. So now we've realized that the two vehicles that we're chasing now definitely doesn't have David Roberts, just based on the timeline of events. And this isn't David Roberts. So David Roberts is somewhere else actively kidnapped. I tell the units to break off. Motherfuckers don't break off, right? Maybe because their chase is going well, right? Mm-hmm. So it ends up, now there's 15 to 20 people on this call. No one breaks off other than myself, McNulty, and Harris. We find Brandon outside the vault. We find that whoever was inside with him in the vault has gotten into a purple progress. I'm on it, trying to break units off. They're refusing to break off. I'm in that chase for 5 minutes before someone's like, so where's the chase? I'd already lost him because I'm driving and managing this call simultaneous. David Roberts was forced to print out financial records for a individual. This is the second time it's happened. The first time was with a unknown person. And Friday was the second time. We suspect that this individual is a FIB agent that has access to the city's financial infrastructure.
Whose records did they pull?
I don't remember offhand. It's I don't remember the name offhand. He's going to be coming in again. He's been very
David, or the person whose records were pulled?
David. Yeah.
Okay.
But the reason I kind of described this scene from Friday is kind of where, oh wait, no, it gets worse.
Stop it, Brian!
Sorry.
It!
Listen, it's
wait, it gets
nightmarish.
Worse is not what
it's
I wanna
nightmarish,
hear.
all right? We now, instead of, apparently that chase continued with the 95s because no one gave a fuck about David Parker or looking for the purple vehicle. I didn't even know these other chases were happening, even though I explicitly told them to break off that shit, right? DJ Cooper was caught, as were 2 or 3 others. It was like 6 9-5s. How? I don't know. While David is being interrogated to figure out what the fuck had happened, I realized
David,
nobody knows.
DJ assumed to be David.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, it ended up Diego de Leon that they thought was David, even though they looked nothing alike and didn't match anything in the photo.
Okay.
David Leon is a civilian who used to work at Kiflam. He's the owner of it. So that gets even more spicy.
Wait, he's the Up and Atom guy. I like that guy.
Yeah, he's a faceless asset.
Oh, wait. You should look into his friend. They're always together, working at Up and Atom.
That's the second guy that runs Kiflam as well.
Yeah, Diego.
Oh no, Diego, and then they're always together. I've never seen them not at Up and Atom together, and they go to the food stall, make all the food for Up and Atom there too.
Yeah, I can't remember his name though. The other one.
Either way, I like them both, but maybe not anymore. Wait, no, I don't claim them. Not if they're faceless. Go on, Brian.
So we've got all these 95s. Mission accomplished, boys, right? No, I started to realize, like, nobody knows how to press any charges.
It gets worse.
I started to get the realization that no one knows what charges to press on anyone. Like, I'm getting that vibe, and I'm like, okay, who's got a 95? Give me their name, because we're, like, split between BCSO, Observatory, and Mission PD. Everyone get on this channel, and I'm going to walk everyone through this situation. And I'm like, look, this is effectively a hostage taking with an attempted murder of him and whoever was hit. And how do we build from there, right? It's very simple.
Did it not cross anyone's mind to drag him into interrogation rooms?
Well, this will give you the answer in a second here.
Okay.
I went through all the charges, right? Like, okay, yeah. Chico Guzman was dressed up a Lagara, but he has a Groza just like the other suspects. But the actual Lagara have M70s. Let's let Chico Guzman go, because that's going to be a bit more of a complicated thing to unpack, and is going to require subpoenas because this guy infiltrated Ligara. We also got whatever. Let's just let him go.
Take their M70s?
No, they did.
Okay.
So the Ligara have M70s. The Faceless had Grozas, right? It's an indicator, but it's not enough
It's
to
not
get
for
to
sure.
the
We
PC.
can't say that in court, but
Correct.
yeah, I get it.
So we said, look, it's 7, 8 p.m. All right, just fucking put in the charges as if you're going to process him today and all the evidence, and then let him go, right? We'll handle that in the upcoming week and can put out a warrant once the subpoenas and things are sorted. The Ligara guys, they have illegal possessions, right? You can charge them for that, and then, it is what it is. As for DJ Cooper, etc., we know he's driving a car reckless, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, everything's good. Any questions, guys? No questions. I end up checking down at Mission Road PD. I get down there, and it's a fucking shit show. The first thing is every fucking primary fucking unit has clocked off duty. The suspects are still in the cells. Secondly,
What the fuck?
that Kolosky, who came silently attached way later for why, I don't know, has a suspect. That suspect, an hour prior, had requested a lawyer and a bench trial. Now, apparently, Roman is freaking out because he's like, what the fuck's going on with this bench trial? We're like, bro, we can't go to bench. We don't even have all the evidence together yet. Now, before I even arrived, I'd asked a otherwise decent cop, like, hey, he's like, well, he's saying, because they had Diego. He's like, well, he's saying that he was just like a decoy. I'm like, okay, well, did you run his gun? No. Then what the fuck were you doing the last 40 minutes, dog? Like, were you just standing there with your dick in your hand? Like, go run the gun. Like, if he's got casings on the scene, like, that tells you a fucking story. But whatever, it's fine.
Is this all the same day that Ligara got countered? They were all dead, and they took the line snorter, the bank guy?
Yeah.
And by this point, that scene has been documented and it's in evidence. So if any of those casings came back, it would be in the MDT, correct?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. By the way, asterisk, there's a massive evidence issue at the moment.
No. They didn't even run the gun yet.
I know, but it's unrelated, but I do need to bring that up.
Yes, absolutely.
Jog my memory after that.
And then, so I've already got that. Now Kolosky's like, well, he's looking for a bench trial. I'm like, and I'm gonna go and set him up for a bench. And I'm like, how are you gonna go to a bench trial, dog? Like, motherfucker, we ain't got no statements in yet. Literally, the scene is just concluding. So like, what do you mean? And we're like, and Roman. So now Blunt is there. He's coming in late. He's trying to help me because I'm losing my mind because all the cops went off duty, right? And this wasn't like a 5-hour event. This is like an hour and a half. Maybe 2 hours, right? Like, not even like, why'd you fucking attach to begin with type shit, right?
Yeah.
And if it was like 1 or 2, fine. No, it was like everybody went off duty with these guys just in the cells. So we, and why is Kolosky entertaining a bench trial? Like, ask me first, like, this is what's going on. And so Blunt had to call Roman and be like, yo, I know the request is put in, but like, we can't go to bench. Like, we don't have any of this. And he's like, Roman goes, I don't care. We're going to do it anyways. And I'm just like, I don't know. Separate thing that I need to approach. Me and Blunt have to approach him on, like, what the hell happened? But it got worse.
You know what it could be, Brian? You remember the whole once a bench is requested, even the people can't pull it back? Maybe they're trying to set the standard of like, even if done in error, it still which it can't. That cannot be entertained.
Yeah, I want to deep dive it because maybe there was some comms issues, what Roman actually said and what was actually said to him. So I'm trying to play a little bit of like, give
him grace, but like, let's get to the bottom of it and actually figure out what happened.
Precisely. Well, it then turns out that Klosky had never requested an attorney, and an hour has already transpired because this guy's rights were allegedly violated because he was frisked without Klosky knowing the why. He just did. He said, well, you're going to Mission Rose, so we're frisking you. Now, luckily, the RS did exist and the PC did exist because I'd previously taken an M70 from him, and he had another gun and blah, 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 right? And he was on the scene of a shooting in which his compadres were also firing, so that's all sorted. But there was no...
Was he instructed, though? Was he instructed to frisk that individual?
I don't know. It just...
Because, like, we can't really use hindsight when you know what I mean? Like...
You, as the processing officer, must have the RS and PC independently at the moment of action.
Exactly.
So maybe he was, who knows, right?
There's no way he doesn't. He doesn't end up with a fucking suspect.
He didn't know how to request an attorney. We had to pull him aside and be like, Klosky, look, you're not in trouble. All right. We just want to know what happened because we need to speak to this. And we had to show him how to request a lawyer on his phone.
Ryan,
and he said no one taught me.
Yelled at us.
I don't know.
Well, you saw that our high command channel of communication with like DOJ and stuff. Did you see that?
No.
Do you have access to that with Marshall stuff?
Yeah. Oh.
The high command only one.
Oh, that might have something to do with it.
Was this on the 7th?
It might. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. This is all adding up now.
And we're like, Klosky, no one taught you this? And he's like, no. And we're like, brother, like, what? And now we're like, people overheating, like, wait, Klosky's been a cop for over a year. If he doesn't know, that means he's never done it. Which also begs the question, who else doesn't know either? Right? So that was sorted. Chico Guzman, who I had told V Gray to release, drum roll, was left in the cell for an hour. V had an emergency. That should have been a phone call to me. V, I'm going to give him some grace. Emergency. But he told Juno, who just came at the end, she doesn't even know what, she wasn't on the scene. But by just telling Juno, he thought that was enough. Chico, let go. There's still not enough reports. There's still not enough evidence. It's all missing. We have added the names of every cop we believe was involved, and we need all their statements. This is quite literally the FIB evidence. This is quite literally what could be the cusp of stopping this financial collapse. It's a very serious scene. Now, I will tell you that my foot went so far up the ass of my own marshals over this. McNulty, for example, fucked off, even though he's a primary, and I had a very stern conversation with him. And trust me when I say...
What was the name you just said? Sorry?
McNulty.
McNulty, okay.
Yeah, my foot is still imprinted inside his asshole. So, it's...
Okay.
I wanted to flavor all this. I know I yapped for a minute here. But I woke up Monday and I said, this is all getting fixed. Not just this set of SOPs, but Vale has been punished with getting promoted to deputy marshal. And she is going to write the idiot's guide to processing from the moment there's a body on the ground all the way to when they're sent off. Every step, every function, every photo, how you do the radio, how do you do the GSR, what must be done prior to, so that there is not a single soul that can be like, I didn't know I had to do this thing, right? No, it's all there, right? And that's standard.
Ryan, I have a question regarding this. What I'm about to say is a double-edged sword.
I'm ready.
I fully know this, okay? But you know how you can make books at the Liquid Library? Do we need to print this out as a processing for dummies? My only concern is if it gets out and then a lawyer sitting there with this fucking thing that might potentially at some point be outdated.
No.
Yeah, it'll 100% get out.
Yeah, it'll get out there. That's the double-edged sword. If not, I'm not gonna lie, I would love to hand a fucking book like that to a cadet to be able to reference situations like this.
I'm not entirely against it. I don't look. Can I say something a little strange?
Go ahead.
The amount of felons that have come and gone in PD is enough that, and just from the vibes inside the cells, like motherfuckers are like hyper lawyers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like
get
one
what
minute
you're
they're like, "Yo, dog, I'm gonna sell some weed on the street," and then like next second they're like, "Well, my like Article 5.32 of the legislation, like bitch, how the fuck do you know this?" Like, you know what I mean?
They know more than me.
You've been asleep for 6 months. How'd you wake up and know about all this new legislation? Like, I'm an educated motherfucker. What do you mean? Like, no, you're not.
My only fear is like, while it will be in the MDT, will they put forth the effort into? I mean, it'll still be their fault. But like, if we're trying to get to the root of the issue of like making sure this shit doesn't happen, like the thing I've trying to been instilling into people, Brian, recently is, if you are engaging with any piece of legislation, I don't care how experienced you are with the legislation, pull it up. You have no idea whether or not something has since changed. And even if it hasn't changed, keeping it fresh in your mind is the best way we're going to ensure we don't end up in hot water.
I made this clear to Vale as she's writing it, and every marshal that was on duty. I'm on a bit of a warpath with this. Internal to SASM, every single marshal will know these steps. And there will be, if they're coming to the scene, will remain, make sure before they go off duty, have their reports in with these steps followed. If they do not, we don't do DAPS and SASM. I go straight to suspension. And if they are not following those instructions, they're in the wrong department. That being said, once it is all sorted, like how y'all wish to implement it at what level, like, you know, y'all's prerogative, right? I'm not going to hold it over anyone's head, but I do think it would be productive, or at least some of those things, for us to kind of have a shared vibe on, because if everyone's holding the bag together, it's a light bag. But if 1 or 2, 3 individuals are left holding that bag, that shit heavy as fuck, right? And we're just setting them up for failure, whether it's a bench trial or whether it's 2 months from now, there's a civil lawsuit over it, right? And who's left holding the bag? The poor soul that happened to process the guy who may have barely been involved, right? So, any one of these documents I'm gonna put forward to you guys. Like I said, I do want y'all's feedback on it, and yeah, I want to see things get better, right?
You and I both,
I agree.
Brian. I'm not sure if you know, but the entire purpose of the LSPD, like command plus restructure, is to obviously there's a lot of people, because I had to reduce a lot of people in high command down to no longer high command. So most have fallen within the ranks of general command. Some have fallen lower than that. But the general premise of the restructure is pushing for competency and trying to ensure that no one even has the excuse to claim they didn't know.
Exactly. It's hard to, I've always felt it's difficult to punish someone that may not have been taught.
Yep.
So in a way, this is a, hey, you were supposed to know it. It's right there. Why didn't you? Right. And if it isn't written, then there is no way to confirm there was no way for them to know. So how do you punish that? Right.
Yeah. 100%.
So
100%. Which, considering we're at the tail end of this conversation, Brian, there is an OIS yesterday stemming from a bank truck. Vale was involved because Vale's the one who's the one who put the report.
Yeah, she collected evidence from the original bank truck scene.
So it's a little complicated. I don't have the full context, but from my understanding, 43145. It's bad that I know the report number. So in this situation, this originally started as a bank truck. There was then like an hour and a half, probably close to 2-hour pursuit until they eventually circled back and went to the same area of the bank truck and then started opening fire. Vale had gotten the original evidence from the original scene, so it was all clear. So we went for the second round of evidence after the OIS cleanup, and this was an OIS that resulted in us negotiating with them just getting their people and leaving. Us obviously getting EMS, getting officers up, and then people who didn't go down collecting evidence, right?
Yes.
All of the stuff was in the locker. Viv, if you want to explain today what happened.
Yeah, I mean, this
It's
isn't
an
this
issue
isn't
for sure.
yeah, this isn't a thing that's just been a recent thing. I remember this back when I was under sheriff, but it does occasionally happen where I think it's probably due to the amount of evidence, but when you place evidence into the evidence lockers, sometimes it doesn't all fully populate within the report.
Oh,
yeah. So
yes. Okay.
I was trying to find. We knew that there were 5 suspects up there, and we were trying to. I was trying to find like around 5 different illegal firearm casings or projectiles. I could only find, I think it was 2 at the time. I also only found like 3 suspect DNAs when I know they all were shot for sure because it was a very long holdout.
And there was only one standing at the end.
Right. And I realized that there were like 18 casings and 11 projectiles. So I was going through each individual bag because I was trying to pull out the casings and projectiles and identify which were officers and which were illegal firearms. I thought my MDT was broken because at one point I was searching for a casing in the evidence section and it came up with 4 instances of the casings. So that when I clicked on them to see which reports they came back to, they were empty. There was no report mentioned, but they were definitely in the MDT somewhere. So I reset my MDT and my MDT ended up putting the total casing number down from 18 to 7 and projectiles down from 11 to 4. So half the evidence just disappeared. Yeah. So
what?
That's when I roll up, by the way. And my MDT is reflecting the same thing at this point.
So we end up taking the evidence out and putting it back in. And it went to what we have now. But again, we can't be sure that that is the exact right amount of evidence that's supposed to be in there. So we take it out again. I think we put it all back in at the same time. Did we, Rhodes? Or I can't remember.
No, we did it in steps. I put in 1 bag. You put in 2 or 3. We let it update. You then put in another 2 or 3. Let it update. No! And then it still ended up going back to the same amount that we had when we pulled everything out, let it reflect nothing in the MDT, and put it all in at once.
Yeah. My concern is that I wouldn't have known about that if I hadn't been, because I'm going to be responsible for putting the warrants out, but I also want to ensure that our hot guns are also covered. And I usually go pretty in depth with my evidence for that kind of thing. I don't just refer to, I don't know, some DNA being present. I like to pull it apart and go into the VR. I only noticed that because I was missing some evidence, and I just thought it was impossible that there were only 2 or 3 suspects casings when there were 5 people shooting.
Oh boy.
So yeah, then I realized, hey, if the hot guns are found, one of them in particular, if that had been run, no one would have been charged for it because the report wasn't coming up with it. So yeah,
it went
it's just
from
something to
7 casings,
that
14
is so
strands
shit
of DNA, and 4 projectiles to, let me get the full amount here. It went to
we need to ACR the evidence lab. Yo.
It went to 26 strands of DNA, 20 casings, 21 projectiles.
I've had a case where I found a gun on someone, on a suspect. I've run that gun. The MDT suggests that the evidence is in there and it is a hot gun, but then I can never find I wasn't able to find the report associated with it, so I wasn't able to charge them with anything. But they more than likely should have been charged because the evidence was in the MDT somewhere.
And Brian, we recognize that the evidence is in the MDT because when it updates to the correct amounts and it's reflecting properly, there's no new evidence added, right? Because you look at the evidence field, nothing new comes up.
So they're showing up in the appropriate reports, but the relationship isn't.
No. They're not showing up in the reports because the tie between the evidence and the report is gone.
It's broken.
We can actually give you an example. Bring up that report.
Yeah.
421 or 43145.
Yeah.
So scroll down to round 2 OIS scene. I have a piece of evidence highlighted. It's in the body of the report.
Yes.
Okay, so copy that.
Yeah.
Go to evidence. Type that in. You'll see the first 4.
I see 5.
Yes, but the first 4, if you click on all 4 of them, there's going to be no used in reports off to the right.
Oh, I've seen this.
So that's how look
God.
at the last one, though. The last one does list it, but when it was missing, that last one did not include it in the report until we took out all the evidence and put it back in.
How did the
then
link
it connected
break?
This one. But you can see, Brian, that the evidence ID is sequential. It's 561, 562, 563, 564, 565.
Right.
So they were all added appropriately at some point, but then there is a disconnect. I don't know if it's a situation where we are putting...
Maybe you're putting the evidence multiple times, like you take it out and you put it back in. So when you take it out, it disconnects, and when you put it back in, it reconnects.
Well, no, because when we took it out, okay. So context. Remember, this was the one that Viv was looking for. It was not in the report. She was trying to figure out if it was manually in one of the evidence things. So she then, I instructed her to take everything out of the report. All of these pieces of evidence still existed, but none of them, including that 5th one, had a tie to the report. When she put it back in, it tied that last one 5 times in the report. But the evidence ID didn't change. So it was put in appropriately at some point.
Was that?
It just broke somehow.
Has IT been made aware of this?
Yeah, I've sent it through our little IT form, but I think I know in the past I think it was mentioned, and I think
when you say IT form, is that the Bug Stars one?
Yeah, the Bug Stars
one.
Okay, yeah.
No, we'll
go. Yeah, this sounds like hey, we can't investigate anymore.
Yes.
Oh my God! There's been a couple cases
I think the last time it happened to me, though, I'm pretty sure I did reach out directly. I just can't remember and can't find it.
I wonder if there's been some optimizations that may be, well, I don't want to speculate too much. I will say, so when you put in a casing and you see this evidence 68561, and because we're seeing all these reports on the right-hand side, wait, let me ask a stupid question. So the last evidence, 368561, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
When you click that, it shows 5 incidents.
Yes.
And if you go back, there's 5 evidences.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so those, in theory, the first 4 should be one of the 4 in the one listed in the used reports on the last one,
yes.
right? Okay.
But again, the primary issue being, while the casings were in evidence bags in the report locker, that last one was not attached or connected. It was not registered as having been involved in 43145. It wasn't in the casings field. That's the tricky part. It was in the locker. It wasn't in the evidence field in the MDT.
Oh.
Which Viv found out by manually going through.
Like it's not showing under this evidence category on the main report.
Yes, it does now because we removed everything and put it back, and then it reflected appropriately.
Oh,
but prior to that, no one would have known it was attached to this report.
Yeah.
Viv worked backwards.
I was doing things old school style and going through and copying and pasting into the report because I was trying to identify
every evidence
specifically.
bag.
Yeah, I was going through every bag. That's the only reason why I figured out things were missing.
It looks like the solution was for us to pull the evidence bags out and put them back in. Full disclosure, there was still an issue. Despite not a single thing being in the evidence locker, someone's strand of DNA was still in there. Originally, it wasn't. Then we put everything in, then we removed everything again, and someone's DNA strand just got stuck in that report.
Yeah.
So something is wonky for sure. I will reach out right now before I forget to bring this up. It's just hard because I don't exactly have steps to replicate for said person to figure out exactly where things are going wrong. I just know that it's happened on multiple occasions.
Yeah, this is very concerning.
It is because, again, if Viv hadn't worked backwards to specifically identify the OYEL identifier, we never even would have known it existed because we're expecting that the local evidence workers are putting everything in. I've heard things here and there regarding, like, you can't always trust it, blah, blah. I've rarely had that issue, but in large-scale situations, I think it's way more common.
Yeah. I'm starting to like have these moments where there's been times where there's been times where like I run a gun that looks dusty as shit and I'm like, I know these motherfuckers definitely use this shit on something and it comes back nothing. And now I'm starting to genuinely wonder if it did come back to something, but this issue had presented itself. And
I don't, if you have casings and can get the, and you can get the, or if you have a casing or projectile, right? If you can search that, I think if it existed, it would come up. It just wouldn't be attached to the report.
I think that's the biggest indicator that I've noticed on a couple of occasions where I've had it happen is it shows that it's there when you search it, but it just doesn't have the report attached to it.
And by the way, that should never be a permissions issue because if I recall correctly, Brian, marshals can put up pieces of evidence that are in a marshal report. I think we even get told the title of the marshal report.
Question mark? Yeah, that should be very rare. So I've if there is a shooting or something, 99% of the time it will be a regular report for that very reason. But
can you put a photo in a marshal report that I shouldn't be able to see? Just a random photo.
Oh, that you will see.
So that's what I'm saying. I question if when I look at the, like I bring it up in the evidence tab, if it'll show me the report title.
Ooh, let me give you one. So let me see.
I mean, you can either create a new report or just put a blank photo in a new report. I'll just look at the evidence thing and see the most recent update.
Look at search 369043.
Yep. Humane Labs equipment.
Yeah. So that's kind
title,
of
I can't click the report though. And actually,
the Humane Labs lab equipment.
Humane Labs lab equipment, and it even says SAM or SASM report. If you didn't have that title there, I would start seeing the beginning, like context of the
first
report.
few lines. Yeah.
Let's just say that we've had to deal with situations of evidence lookup in past. It has mostly been quelled.
Well, so Brian, the reason I bring this up is because there should never exist a piece of evidence that isn't attached to a report unless it's been removed from said report. So back to the whole, like,
I see what you're saying. So
if
this
nothing comes up in evidence, it is very likely that MDT evidence issue. However, what you're not going to be able to do unless you look at that piece of evidence and look for sequential IDs around it, you're not going to be able to locate what report it's in reference to.
Oh boy.
And again, the only reason Viv could this time is because she pulled out those pieces of casings and manually wrote them down and then manually searched. So again, those casings that you say like old rusted gun, it's unlikely that it doesn't come back to anything. If there's nothing in the MDT, I think it's likely there was nothing to begin with. If it is with no report attached, that's where the issue resides. And I obviously bring this up because with marshals and the capacity of looking into stuff, I obviously want you to be aware of how bad this could be overall.
Oh, 100%. I'm already freaking out because how do I put this? I would wager, let's go lowball and say 50% of our situations involve evidence, like let's say a guns that may be used 1 week, and then those guns don't represent for 6 weeks.
Yep.
Right? So how do you tie those things if the MDT is not assisting with the tying? Right? There is no means to look up.
Yes. Exactly. I would say if you suspect there are situations from the past and there's, evidence bags and stuff, I'd pull them from those reports and I'd put them back in. And see, take a photo of how many pieces of evidence existed beforehand, wait for them to be gone because they will pull out of the actual MDT report, put them back into the locker, wait for it to repopulate. It should only take a minute or so. And if the numbers are different, then you were missing evidence before. So on any valuable case that the marshals are, have right now, would highly recommend doing that. It's not a perfect solution, but it's all we've got at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
know this is not good.
Yeah.
Poor guy's gonna fucking hate me.
I suspect that we're going to get assistance on this, given its implications. I mean, even not just for us, right? The other way around, right? Victims, court cases. Oh my God, court cases. Someone might unintentionally create a Rhodes violation, and it's not really their fault.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
You want to know the crazy thing? My weapon registry. I have always done put the weapon into the report, let it register, then pull it out. And mine has always stuck.
I used to. It hasn't for months, though.
So mine has. That's the thing, right? So I look at that and I go, okay, no big deal. Except, again, Viv pulls out all the pieces of evidence in this situation and they're all gone. So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it sometimes works. It sometimes doesn't. It's really temperamental.
But see, that's also concerning too, because what if you put the wrong thing in the wrong thing and then you took it out to put it in the right thing, and now the wrong thing has it baked in there?
What's going to happen when do you know how you escalate from a report to an incident, which is going to happen here, right? Because warrants are going out, Viv?
Yeah.
When it transfers, what's going to happen there?
So you're supposed to, no one ever does this. You're supposed to, there is an ability to
to move
swap it over, right? Yeah.
But is that actually going to happen properly?
Yeah, you would have to, from what I've seen.
I thought it auto moves it when you promote, does it not?
No, when you're at the lockers, there's an option to move from a report locker to an incident locker.
Actually,
we have to do that?
Has to be.
Yeah.
Every time I promote a report to an incident, the evidence moves automatically.
We're gonna put that to the test after this.
Yeah.
That maybe it's become an automatic thing, but ages ago it wasn't. I haven't been told if it's become an automatic.
Isn't there?
thing.
Don't we still have to tell the evidence people? Hey, yo, this report to this incident.
I thought it did automatically. Yeah, I could have sworn
from the evidence that existed at the time. But what happens if you update that?
Yeah, the entire report goes through. So I guess the evidence section's always followed, but the physical evidence in the locker, unknown. But it's one of the biggest reasons I think it has on the report baked into it, promoted from report number, and then it'll say which report as well. So hopefully people aren't getting rid of that line when they're formatting their report.
Oh God.
TSD. Viv, after the meeting, I say we
test it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Because I fear things might get very messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
And before I reach out to the IT guy, I definitely want to get that confirmed.
Okay. Oh yeah. This is very productive. I appreciate it, guys. And
no problem.
Thank you for
We'll
coming over.
let you know the
conclusion. All right. Hell yeah.
Of everything that we spoke about today.
All right. Yo, what the fuck? That was the most productive meeting ever. That was so fucking productive. And it's good to hear, like, they're also like, we want things to be better. And that's just, like, reassuring. Not reassuring that it's worth, like, you know.
3 Propital hacks for Tarkov.
That it's worth, like, putting in the energy.
First, use Propital as a last-ditch effort to fight exhaustion and dehydration. Propital decreases the rate at which your PMC loses energy and dehydrates. If you have no